Hey everybody, this is Bolt from the Blue Tarot. My name is Sam, and this is a channel where we allow Spirit to tell us stories through some beautifully illustrated divination tools. The first of which we'll be looking at today is the Animal Love Oracle. This is by Nadine Gordon-Taylor. Yeah, I think right out of the gate, we got this one. Seahorse, partnerships, perception, and knight in shining armor. This is great. I realized only after getting changed today that I wore my a very heart chakra outfit here with the pink shirt and the green. Pink and green are two colors associated with the heart chakra. Pink crystals like your rose quartz, and green crystals like green aventurine or green jade. These are all associated with the heart chakra. I wonder if that will play into our message today. Partnerships, perception, and knight in shining armor. I think this is the only species where the male carries the young. Let's see. Seahorses are a mild-mannered species of animal that literally dance to their own tune. What is so unique about them is that the male is impregnated by the female and carries the offspring to term. Ah, there you go. What this symbolically means is that it is important that you share the workload with your partner. Make sure that any relationships you enter into at this time deal with responsibilities in an equitable manner. What I'm hearing here is reciprocity in relationships. Let's see what else. Their armor bodies are an indication that we sometimes need to let our guard down. Another attribute of the seahorse is its incredibly sharp eyesight. Each eye moves independently. This makes them very perceptive. They can see all sides of a situation. Have you ever thought about an animal that has completely different array of eyes than a human being and how it perceives its field of vision? Like if you have two eyeballs that are on completely different sides of your head that see completely different things and they move independently, when a seahorse's brain forms an image, what does it look like? You know, because ours looks very much like this is a wide lens on a phone camera. And ours isn't dissimilar to that. But what does it look like for a seahorse? I don't know, try to imagine that. There may be something here about seeing from others' perspectives or seeing the world in a completely new light, your world. No, I'm getting the world. This makes seahorses very perceptive. They can see all sides of a situation. Oh, there you go. When we are lost or confused, the seahorse asks us to take a good look around, not just with our physical eyes, but with our spiritual ones as well, to get a better perspective on the situation. Seeing a situation as your higher self is a very powerful exercise. And it's a good way to shift your perspective about situations, for sure. When two seahorses appear in your life, it can mean that new relationships are swimming toward you. The number 2 in general deals with positive partnerships, but it also indicates diplomacy, service, and duty. Collaboration will successfully bring about important change. But remember that it takes two to have a successful partnership, and this entails give and take. Saddle up and get ready. I like that. This is your lucky day. Whether you know it or not, you have an attentive and loving knight in shining armor to protect, support, and guide you. This could be in spirit, guys. This can be a real person. Saddle up and get ready for the seahorse. Too funny. Okay, affirmations. I'm determined to reach my goals, but flexible in my approach. I like it. I navigate my current situation with ease and confidence. Have you ever seen a seahorse like at a, what are they called? An aquarium. And in aquariums, they have a really good, like they ensure that the water flows, it seems like it would in currents in the ocean. And if you look, you can see the seahorse just like bobbing and moving with the current. And it's just kind of drifting. And it only uses energy when it needs to go where it needs to go. Seahorse. Partnerships, perception, and knight in shining armor. Excellent. All right, guys, let's see what bearing the seahorse has on your story today. Okay, tarot first. We're going from specific to vague. Just shifting the energy. Let's see what this one is on the bottom. Ooh, the star. This is a very naked star. Hang on. Bam. The star. Nine of Swords. Eight of Cups. Six of Cups. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all she wrote for the tarot. So I think this is a pretty quick read on this. If you guys watch my videos, you're like, yeah, you say that, Sam. 45 minutes later. You're not wrong. But the message takes as long as it takes. So the star. This can be an energy of alchemy, right? Of transmuting old patterns, beliefs, ideas, emotions, energy into something more positive, more useful, as youthful as maybe. I'm really stumbling over my words today. Interesting. Turning it into something that is for the highest good, right? For your highest good. It's also an energy of healing. Waters of renewal. There's this, and that doesn't have to be new energy coming in, right? This can be you consciously working or subconsciously working with spirit to recycle energy, to transmute it, to alchemize it. There's an alchemizing and a healing here. And I feel like it's of anxious patterns of thought, rumination, of dis-ease, like I want to say lack consciousness as well, but this is more like how it plays out, how that plays out, how those subconscious belief systems play out in your life and the emotions that you feel. Transmuting these, the Nine of Swords is like anxiety, fear. It can be depression, like these ruminative patterns of thought, like looping negative thoughts, these deep grooves that our mind has formed over time, or knee-jerk reactions. But you're leaving it behind, like the Eight of Cups is, it's near the end of the cups, and things get pretty positive towards the end of the cups, but it's because on this journey we realize what is not filling us up and we leave it behind, right? Even if all of these cups are filled with things that people are like, that's good, hold on to that, right? But it doesn't fulfill us. It's not what our soul wants. Then we've got to ramble on, right? Now's the time. The time is now. Sing your song. The Eight of Cups. I mean, you're moving on from this because you see that it doesn't serve you, I feel. Like that moment when we notice the pattern and we're like, I'm not living like that anymore. I feel like you've done healing and you now want better for yourself, which is the most powerful thing in the world, is when you genuinely want better for yourself. That's why, like a lot of Jesus's lessons are about alchemy, to my way of thinking. And that's why he would ask the question, like, do you want to heal? Because until we actually want to heal on all levels, consciously, subconsciously, until we want better for ourselves, a literal miracle worker could show up at our door and we would be unavailable to it. We would block off that blessing, right? Through a subconscious or conscious belief that we don't deserve it or something like that. So that's why this shift is so powerful, because you know that you deserve better. Like, she wouldn't be leaving behind these pretty good cups for something better unless she really loved and cared about herself, right? And if you're not there, you're approaching this. And, the Eight of Cups, these 8 cups she's rejecting is for the 9th and the 10th. And I feel like this 6 of Cups represents what you're leaving behind the others for, which is giving to your inner child. You're saying, okay, soul, okay, inner child, okay, highest self, I hear you now. I know I know what's important. And I'm going to give it to you. And I'm making the changes. Because you can't do magic for your inner child when you're still in this cycle, right? But you're breaking free of it, and it's to give back to yourself in such a powerful way, in such a healing way. It's to do something that pleases your inner child, to be the person that they like. Do you see her literally looking up to her and being like, no way, we can make that magic happen? It's like, yeah, you knew it all along. Like, the most beautiful thing about this depiction of the 6 of Cups is that they're both giving to one another. right? Like the inner child is the miracle worker, is the dreamer, is pure magic. And they give to you through these desires that you have to create magic. And you give back to them when you choose to pursue what lights up your inner child, because they didn't have the resources or the power or the self-belief or the support structure, right? They didn't have the efficacy, they didn't have the resources, but you have all of those things because you're an adult and you've done so much work. And it's this reciprocal cycle between you and the inner child. And it's engaging in that cycle that breaks this one. Ooh, so good, so good. All right, what's next? Hollow Woods? Oracle of Destiny. Okay, Oracle of Destiny. Affections. I was going to say this came out in the last reading, but that's on the go that hasn't posted yet. So when you hear that one, or was it in one of these? I get in a light trance state, and sometimes it's difficult to remember. And I'll watch readers on YouTube where I'm like, you don't remember that? That changed my life. And they're like, oh yeah, I can't remember which reading that was. Or was that me who said that? Because they're channeling, and it's hard to remember sometimes. Let's see. Branches. Is this the exact same? What's happening? I'm getting crazy deja vu. Concerns. Humidity. I'm just going to show that one real fast. I don't think I've pulled this one on the channel. It's a beautiful card. Air. It's another cool one. They're all cool. More. Mystic Cross. This one's been coming up recently in a divinatory sense, like depicting actual divination. Let's see. Okay, I think that's it. This feels a little simplistic. Sometimes I'm given really complex, like yesterday's message was, I was taken into the deep end for that one. But this feels pretty straightforward. I think what we have is higher love, like truly celestial love from the higher realms, from heaven, if you like. love's highest harmony. This is love from above. I feel like this is how you wash away these Nine of Swords concerns and start going more with the flow. It's through higher love. It's a connection to source, but allowing that higher love to make decisions for you is what I'm hearing. And I think this is maybe the heart chakra message with the pink and green, and the perception / the knight in shining armor from the seahorse here is like shifting our thoughts, shifting our decision-making abilities down into the heart, where we can more clearly act from the space of universal love. I can hear someone, I can feel someone rolling their eyes, but I'm going to bring up Jesus just one more time. I didn't grow up Christian or anything like that. I just think that he's trying to relay some important energetic lessons, and they're worth highlighting. So Jesus's whole first seek the kingdom of heaven, first seek the kingdom of God within you, is a message about the heart space, about the heart chakra. And because in this place of spiritual calm, in this place of universal love, all problems are already solved, all decisions are already made, and it's just about being peaceful, receptive, loving enough to hear that voice, to know bodily those truths. And I feel like at the end here we have some advice in terms of air and mystic cross. So I think there is a strong piece of advice. I think whoever I'm talking to, you have more of a mystical bent, whether you realize it or not. Going outside into nature is going to help this a lot for you. I feel like this kind of energy gets kind of stuck and stagnant and bounces off the walls, it needs to be filtered out of us. It needs to be washed away. It needs to, we need to pull the plug out, and because we're okay, I'll just beat down this Nine of Swords energy with other forceful thinking, and it's no. You got to let this drain out like dirty bathwater into the earth. And being in nature will help with this. There's also, a mystical element to this that I can't really explain. It's ethereal. It's the great mystery that the mystical parts of major spiritual traditions point to. They don't teach you about necessarily, but they point to it. I think I've been called to mention Jesus so many times in this because he was a mystic. He was talking about much more esoteric things than people could grasp. And that's why he used stories so often. He was pointing them to a truth, right? And I'm just seeing in my mind's eye like one of those poles that has a bunch of direction signs on it, and they all point like similar sizes, but they're pointing down different directions towards like towns or cities or paths or whatever. And each one of those is like a message from an ascended master, or, you know, like however you want to think of humans who have really connected to source, masters of spirituality. Each one of their lessons is like one of those signposts, and you can understand where the sign is pointing from lower down. Like lots of people will understand that. They'll get the basic message there, or they'll get the literal message. But there's like signs farther and farther up the pole, and the farther up you go, like they're more subtle. Maybe they're harder to read, you know, or more easily misinterpreted. And only the wise can read them, you know. So they're pointing in important directions. If we can but read them, and it's subtle, right? And there's something here about like divination will help someone. And I don't mean like watch more tarot YouTube videos necessarily, although, you know, do as I say, not as I do, right? Like I love tarot YouTube videos. But this is something about doing divination for yourself, and about getting in contact with your intuition through divination. Because, you know, I hear a lot of people saying like, what did the cards say? And it's like, oh, well, you misunderstand. Like, people have all of these superstitions about the cards and how to take care of them. And it's like, yeah, sure, respect your divination tools, but they are tools, right? They're like Scrabble tiles that form words, right? The Scrabble tiles alone don't have the ability to create sentences or meaning, but you as the interpreter of them, your intuition and your connection to the great mystery is what helps you interpret meaning through the vessel that is you, with all of your life experiences. So what you get out of one image, I will not, because I don't have the same experiences. And people will point to that and say, well, that just makes it subjective bullshit then. And they've missed something a bit subtle here, because each one of us is a unique vessel with unique experiences. And we are deeply understood by spirit. They know us better than we know ourselves, right? So they can send you messages through you that other people cannot. Like I can give you general pieces of advice, or even like rather specific ones, but you will get things out of your own divination that you will not get out of mine. And first and foremost amongst them is the development of a skill, right? Because this whole part of your quest to find something that satisfies the soul and feeds the inner child, right? This is much more intuition driven. It's much more heart focused, right? So this is a little bit of a recommendation, I think, of how to get rid of the negative energy, and then how to focus on like a new way of being, how to move into a new mode. And divination can be super useful for that. It teaches you a new way of thinking. It's a different language. And it's one that calls upon your intuition. You have to think differently and be receptive, and it teaches you a skill at the same time that it informs you about your soul's journey. So, you know, I think I might just say divination and someone's like, okay, like turns off the TV and starts pull in cards to do like love readings or whatever. And this is less about that and more about the development of a skill of getting in touch with the universe, of hearing the subtle whisperings. And the more languages you speak to spirit, the more ways they can reach you and the more nuances they can deliver. It's why I don't consciously select the decks like this is what I want to read from today. It's not based on my mood, it's based on intuition, right? So I will grab the decks that I am intuitively guided to grab. Sometimes I'll be like, ugh, that one, really? But I know it's correct because there's a message in there that deck can relay, like a nuance that the other ones can't because they're slightly different. They're different languages or like a different speaker of the same language. They're like a different lens, a different vessel, a different arrangement of eyeballs and, degrees of seeing with them, to bring it back to the seahorse. Okay, yeah, let's do the Hollow Woods. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm so pleased you're here. I would love a comment if this impacted you in some way, or there's a message you would like to leave me. This isn't an algorithm thing. I just love interacting with you guys. So thank you in advance for anyone who chooses to comment. If you're joining me for the first time, this is the Hollow Woods. It's a storytelling card game, and I was guided to this intuitively in a local bookstore, and I was like, "Why am I here? I don't even like board games that much, Like, why have you brought me here, Spirit?" And it was to find these cards because they are, let me tell you, they are a treasure. So in this card, they don't really have names, but this is a treasure in the deep woods surrounded by some weeds. It's like an open treasure chest with light shining out of it. You know that scene in Pulp Fiction when they open the briefcase and it has that like golden light? It's kind of what I picture in terms of the light here emanating from the treasure chest. We got an old woman wearing a shawl, walking through the hollow woods and looking back. I like these cards because you're supposed to make a story with them. And that's the intention of the designers. And it's kind of like, oh, is this a good story or is this a bad story? Like, what's going on here? And there's always a reminder from the Hollow Woods that things are working out in the end, and they are working out in our favor, always. Even if we go through some spooky parts of the woods, even if we encounter some creatures we did not expect to, or learn some lessons the hard way from time to time, it's still an important journey and it's still for our benefit. All right, that's it. I mean, let's just talk about how good it is to have pulled the treasure, the only card in this deck that depicts treasure, as the first card. So there's an acknowledgement here that you are already sitting on a treasure trove. Like, you are already the star, in the sense here that you have healed yourself to such a large degree already. or you have the ability to heal yourself, enlargen yourself, uplift yourself, bring yourself closer to spirit. Like I think this is just an acknowledgement that you have what it takes, is what I'm hearing. Like you have the stuff. You have the stuff. And that you are guided, right? It's been interesting if you watch the channel to see how, because these cards don't have divinatory meanings. There's no guidebook I can look in, right? It's pure intuition. But what starts to emerge is like these archetypes, these archetypal figures. And we've had this woman as a past version of you. We've had her as a guide. In this case, I think she's just coming out to say that you are guided, right? Like, not only do you have the right stuff, but you are guided. And trust that you are, right? What is guiding you? Your own intuition. What is guiding you? Your inner child, your highest self. All of the support that you receive from your spirit team. What else is guiding you, you ask? I'm glad you asked, because higher love is guiding you. Your heart space is guiding you. Where is it guiding you? I think is the next question. So it might seem a little weird to compare these images, but bear with me, because this the horse is truly this Eight of Cups. Like, this is your movement towards better things. And there's a feeling that, you know, the horse, the riderless steed, is sort of modifying this Eight of Cups to say that, you know, one, you're not on this journey alone. A horse is a mode of transportation, sure, but also a friend, like consciousness outside of yourself that is with you on this journey, that is bonded with you, that guides and has its own wisdom, but is strong and powerful and able to carry your burdens. And that needs very little in return. You know, oats, the occasional apple, but in this case, just like love, or just to listen to it. So yeah, it's like you might be worried about going on this journey or abandoning your cups, but I mean, we're moving from the Nine of Swords to the Eight of Cups because you see this sword tangled up in the weeds here. It's like you're leaving this behind. You're leaving behind this mental anguish for this friendly horse, like this mode of transportation that's just waiting for you. This horse isn't going anywhere. Like, it's a reminder that your journey doesn't have to be a slog, right? It can be smooth and easy. It can be far more comfortable if you allow nature to carry you, like spirit to carry you. Your soul and your higher self to carry you. And what are they carrying you towards? Weirdly, like, this particular death energy and the Six of Cups is the same thing, because here you have this healthy adult version of you who values their inner child, giving back to it, and the inner child feeling supported by an adult towards their dreams in ways that they haven't maybe ever, or they haven't truly in the past. And these two figures are very, like, they're healing one another, right? And in order to be in contact, this adult version of you has left behind this version of you, this Nine of Swords version of you. Like the Death card in tarot is not as scary as it looks. Big Scorpio energy. Card number 13 in the tarot. Everyone's like, oh no. But death is very, very positive. It's a rebirth. It's not like the literal death of you, but it is the death of an old version that was no longer serving you, that didn't have your inner child's best interests at heart, or didn't value them. And I mean, didn't show that they value them, right? Didn't put their money where their mouth was in terms of pursuing what the soul wants. But I mean, you have the right stuff. You are a treasure. You are treasured by spirit. You are guided. There is an easier path than you think once you are guided by your soul, your intuition, and towards your heart's desires. And it will lead to this productive rebirth and something beautiful, new, and in touch with your intuition, in touch with nature, and with yourself as a natural being, with I'm just getting so much natural flowing energy. Just being this being of nature, this child of the universe, this creature of the cosmos, in whom the same, like the energy of God flows, right? Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, let's get you some advice from my storybook deck. It's just a deck of some different moments from stories that I have found instructive for my own journey. And, I get to a high vibrational state. I get to this state of being in close contact with spirit, and I receive the ideas for these cards from there. And I made this for myself because at the end of the reading, I like to have some more concrete advice for myself, or I like to sometimes ask about the best approach to this going forward, or whatever. So my hope is that it gives you some more concrete advice or a different perspective on this. Let's see what we got. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Oh, very interesting. Odysseus strapped to the mast, beeswax in his crew's ears. So this is a siren card. He does this so that he can hear the sirens, but he can't be driven to dash himself against the rocks. And he wants to hear what the sirens sound like. And he has his crew put beeswax in their ears so that they can row past the sirens without capsizing their boat. So what is relevant from this card for you is this question. What in your life currently has you under a spell? And how can you take back your freedom? So a lot of moving away from this, because this energy is very persuasive. A quote that was very instructive to me is that sometimes, very often, the devil, if you like, sounds very logical. And God sounds completely insane, right? But it's really a question of what is right and what is wrong. Because if you're looking at your situation on paper or from the subjective viewpoint of the ego, it can look very dire. It can feel very weighty. It can be anxiety inducing if you allow it to be. But this is more about finding a way to choose something different than this energy. It's about recognizing, and I think in your case it might not be just mental patterns, but mental patterns are a huge part of this. Bodily anxiety. And like feeding this cycle, because we don't realize we're feeding it. It's subtle. And it's not just about having the wisdom to recognize it and to catch it once. It's about doing that again and again and again as a practice. And it's hard when our body hijacks us, when fear causes us to have this, cascade of chemicals, right? It's a difficult biological situation that you find yourself in. So some of it is about finding little hacks, like little using your wisest self to create, the divination deck of wisdom, so that when you're in this Nine of Swords energy, you can draw upon it when it doesn't feel like you can conjure it inside of you, right? Like this is an example of how a tool that I created, a divinatory tool that I created that helps me to escape the Nine of Swords energy. Because even if you believe that I'm just pulling random cards and they are utter bullshit, what they give me is something to focus on, right? Or they give me a new perspective so that I don't fall into this energy and stay there, right? We all fall into this energy from time to time. You sort of have to be enlightened not to, right? Like there are moments when we're all going to be tempted into Nine of Swords energy. But it's about staying there for less time, staying there a little less this time, a little less this next time, right? And over time, the amount of time you spend in this Nine of Swords energy gets less and less and less and less, until it's like you see the temptation to enter it and you're like, it's for the birds. I'm not going there, because it's not useful. It's not about being right or wrong, right? Because the ego will say like, you fool, like it's clearly wrong to believe that everything is okay, when on paper, like, look, we are not doing well. And the ego is so fixated on being right and controlling. But it's not about being right or wrong. It's about what's useful and not useful. Odysseus knows what the sirens can do. He knows what their magic is. He knows the energy that they will bring him into. So he takes precautions, right? Like, okay, he leaves his ears open, then he's going to have to be strapped down to the mast so that his body can't hijack him and dash him against the rocks, right? And all of his crew, they have to bodily do something to prevent this Nine of Swords energy. So they stick beeswax into their ears. They come up with a barrier to the energy, right? they sidestep it completely. And that's the invitation here. And for some of you, this will be a process, right? It's an unlearning of a pattern. It's a new habit, a new mode of being. So go easy on yourself. It's a subtle thing, right? And it takes wisdom. And it can take time. Some of these lessons we learn overnight and we never fall into them again. And you can affirm to do that, right? You can make that affirmation. You can ask for help with it to stay out of this Nine of Swords energy, or to stay in it less and less. But it doesn't mean that we're able to do that. Like, we're complex biological organisms. And it takes time for the higher self to become the mode of operating. There's a lot of junk out there telling us that we can't even do this, that this isn't even possible, but it so is. And after you get into the habit of it, it's so much easier and more mentally healthy. It becomes an easy choice to make. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. What are we at? 51 minutes. Okay. One more piece of advice, hopefully a quick one. Monsters Inc. Okay, this is perfect. Usually the cards are like a smaller scenario from a story, like a story within a story. But I just wrote this one down because I think the concept of this movie, Monsters Inc., if you haven't seen it, is terrifying. Like, it's awful, but it's a tremendous analogy for the fear-based systems that keep us in Nine of Swords energy. So this card reminds us that the negative power structures that oppress people rely on fear as fuel. If you've seen the movie, you get it. Don't feed the monsters, okay? Don't give them fear to live off of. If you're a journaling person, these might be some questions to consider. But just really briefly, what fears have you inherited? Which fears are keeping you small? Which fears are hijacking you? And is this fear a legitimate survival warning? Right? Like, are you actually about to die? Or is this a maladaptive fight, flight, freeze response? Right? And this is an interesting way to phrase it for those people who are like, Sam, I'm not just going to like settle into magical ways of thinking. I cannot just believe that it's going to be okay because that's useful, right? There's too many other problems going on. And I think this is like an evolutionary explanation, right? And so hopefully those people, if you do find yourself facing that mental barrier, hopefully this can help you, because this puts it in an evolutionary light, right? And it's about making a choice that doesn't play into the animal gut reaction. Recognizing what behaviors are maladaptive for the environment that we're living in, that may have served us in our evolutionary past, right? When we were being chased by large animals across the savannah. But that those very same chemicals are being triggered by, problems paying bills, problems, car repair issues. And these are obstacles, they are challenges, but they're not a saber-toothed tiger. And I mention this not to downplay anyone's problems, solely to highlight the perspective that you may be being hijacked by a maladaptive flight, fight, freeze response. And viewing it in that light will help some people to reframe and move towards a different energy. I can't pull any more cards. The video is too long, but meditation always helps, guys. Little plug for meditation. And again, the person that this message is for, getting out in the fresh air, getting out in nature, and developing your intuition via divination tools will really help you settle into this mode of being. It's some like bodily, embodied actions that you can take that teach you a new way of being and just naturally help to cleanse you, being in nature anyway. Okay, guys, I hope this was really useful. You are doing a great job on your healing journey, and continue to make choices that enlarge in yourself, that bring yourself closer to your higher self, that feed your inner child, that make sense to your soul, right? That feel good in your heart. And you can't go wrong. I love you guys. Take care. I'll see you in the next reading.